Have you ever stopped to think about how your food delivery app works? You know, how you can order, watch the driver on a map, and pay for it all in one seamless flow? Well, behind that magic is a hidden language that powers pretty much our entire digital world. It's called an API, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and see what it is and why it has totally changed the game.
So that hidden language is the API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. But forget the jargon. At its core, an API is just a set of rules that lets different pieces of software talk to each other. Think of it like a universal translator for the internet. Just like we're using a shared language to communicate right now, apps use APIs to ask for and receive information in a way they can both understand.
Now, to really appreciate just how revolutionary this whole thing is, we need to hop in a time machine and go back about, say, 15 years. Because back then, building a new app or website wasn't just about writing code. Oh no, it was a heavy-duty, industrial-sized project.
Before the cloud was a thing, if you had a great idea for a website, your first step had nothing to do with coding. It had everything to do with hardware. You had to physically buy, build, and maintain your own servers. We're talking about actual rooms, data centers, filled with these humming, blinking metal boxes just to get your idea off the ground.
And you can probably guess this was a massive, massive headache. First, the cost to buy all that equipment was just enormous. Then you needed a team of engineers working around the clock, 24/7, just to keep the lights on. And get this, you were paying for all that electricity and maintenance all day, every day, even if it was 3 a.m. and literally no one was using your app. It was incredibly expensive and just way too complex for anyone but the biggest companies.
But then, everything changed. The rise of cloud computing brought this radical new idea to the table, an approach that would completely flip the script on how software gets built. And that new approach is called serverless. This right here represents a fundamental shift in who's responsible for what. The cloud providers came along and made a new deal with developers everywhere. They basically said, hey, forget the hardware. Stop worrying about cooling fans and power supplies. You focus on the one thing that really matters, writing amazing code, and we'll handle the messy server stuff for you.
And that's the absolute core idea of serverless. Now, the name is a little misleading, right? Because of course, there are still servers. They haven't vanished. The difference is they are no longer your servers to worry about. They belong to the cloud provider, and managing them is their problem, not yours. It was like a huge weight was lifted off the shoulders of every creator and developer out there.
This also kicked off a total economic revolution. Instead of paying for a server to be on 24/7, you only pay for the exact moments your code is actually running. So if someone uses your API, you get billed for like the few milliseconds of computer time it took to run. And if nobody uses it, you pay absolutely nothing. It's like only paying for electricity when the light switch is flipped on.
Okay, so that's the money side. But this model also solves another huge problem from the old days. What happens when your app suddenly blows up and goes from a few people to millions overnight?
I mean, really think about that for a second. Imagine you're running a huge flash sale, or a video you made goes viral. How in the world does a system handle that kind of sudden, immense pressure without just completely breaking?
Well, in the old data center world, you had a fixed ceiling for your server capacity. So when that massive traffic spike hit, it would just slam into that ceiling and overwhelm your hardware. And that's when you get the dreaded crash, the infamous site-down error message that makes everyone furious. But with serverless, it's a completely different story. The cloud acts like a perfect elastic band. The instant it detects a traffic spike, it automatically, and I mean instantly, provides more computing power to handle the load. Your app stays fast and available for every single user. And then, just as important, when the traffic goes back to normal, it scales right back down so you stop paying for all that extra horsepower. So, let's put this all together. What happens when you combine this incredible ease of use, this pay-as-you-go model, and this infinite automatic scaling? Well, it doesn't just make old ideas better, it creates an entirely new way of building software, and it gives rise to a whole new economy.
This quote right here just nails the new mindset. Instead of spending years and a fortune building every single complex feature from scratch, developers now start with a much smarter question. Who has already perfected this and offers it as an API I can just plug into? And this is exactly how the modern apps you use every single day are built so fast. They're not these giant single things. They're more like digital Legos. They're cleverly assembled from these powerful pre-built API building blocks.
They use Stripe to handle payments, Google Maps for the location data, and Twilio to send you those text message updates.
This API economy has exploded into a massive driver of innovation. I mean, look at that number. Some estimates project it'll contribute over $4.5 trillion to the global economy. And why that matters to you and me is that it means new ideas from small startups can get to market faster and cheaper than ever before, letting them actually compete with the biggest companies in the world.
But of course, the evolution doesn't stop here, not even close. As more of our world is built on these software conversations, the next big challenge is making those conversations even smarter, faster, and way more efficient.
A perfect example of this is the shift to newer standards like GraphQL. Think of it this way. Using an older API is like asking a librarian for a single fact and having them deliver the entire encyclopedia to your desk. You get what you need, but it's a lot of waste. GraphQL, on the other hand, lets an app ask for only the specific piece of data it needs, nothing more. And that tiny change is what makes the apps on your phone feel so much snappier and faster.
So what's the big takeaway here? Serverless and the API economy have completely leveled the playing field. The kind of power that used to belong only to the biggest corporations, the power to build an app that could reach the entire world, now belongs to anyone with a good idea. Which leaves us with one final very big question. Now that these incredible tools are in the hands of millions of creators, what will they build next?